Any idea what is respiration? Anything that you must be knowing already? You can answer, please don't hesitate.
Respiration is the taking in of oxygen and breaking down of that to form glucose.
Breaking down of what?
Oxygen and
We take in oxygen
yeah.
and we break down glucose to produce energy. Okay, so that is respiration, right? Do you know what is the difference between breathing and respiration? Or you think that both are the same process?
Breathing is
Breathing is first.
Breathing is just the inhalation and exhalation,
Yes,
but
yes.
respiration also includes breaking down of glucose molecules to produce energy.
Yes, very good. So breathing is a part of respiration, but not the complete process. Breathing is just the inhalation of oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. The inhalation and exhalation is breathing, while respiration is when the oxygen goes into your body and mixes with the blood to break down your glucose into energy, carbon dioxide, as well as water. That is respiration. Okay. So respiration is basically of two types: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. This also you might be already knowing because it's like class 8th and 7th, all this is there over there. So aerobic respiration is in the presence of oxygen, right? And anaerobic respiration is in the absence of oxygen. Okay, so when the glucose in your body is breaking down in the presence of oxygen, that means you are inhaling oxygen and breaking down the glucose of your body, then that is known as anaerobic respiration, and it will produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So if there is one molecule of glucose, just one molecule of glucose, how many ATPs will be produced? Any idea?
38.
Yeah, 38 ATP. So this is like this question also comes in competitive exam and in the MCQs type of question, that one molecule of glucose produces 38 ATP. So now suppose there are 50 molecules of glucose, so you will be able to do that, right? So these kinds of questions, they come in the exams. Okay, and also anaerobic respiration, only two molecules of ATPs are produced. Aerobic respiration is basically done in the higher organism, like the human beings or the higher plants. All these undergo aerobic respiration, while anaerobic respiration, that takes place in lower grade of organisms like your bacteria, your yeast, and sometimes in the muscular cells of human body. There also comes a reasoning that when you do a lot of physical exercise, you are running, jogging, more than your potential, more than your capability, you are doing much more physical activity, then you start to feel the pain in your muscles, especially in the calf region and in the muscles of your hand. You start to feel the pain. What is the reason of that pain? Why do you feel that pain? Any idea?
Lactic acid.
Yeah, very good. Because when we are doing a lot of physical activity, our body, our muscles need more of the energy, and to obtain that more energy, our body, or basically the muscle cells, starts to undergo anaerobic respiration. And when it undergo anaerobic respiration, the glucose is broken down into lactic acid, and that lactic acid tends to deposit in the muscles. And when there is a deposition of this lactic acid, we feel the pain. If you don't take any painkiller or nothing and you just rest for 1 or 2 days, automatically the pain that goes away. That is because the lactic acid that has been deposited, that lactic acid degenerates in 1 or 2 days, and then the pain also reduces. So the deposition of lactic acid in the muscle cells due to anaerobic respiration is the cause of this pain. So this reasoning also comes in the board exams. So that is why I was telling you. Okay. After that, have you understood like everyone is getting? Is there any problem? If there is, you can please ask. Shanvi is very quiet. Is she always quiet?
No, I just can you go a little slow?
Okay. Also, when we talk about respiration, there is a complete passage of respiration in our body, like all the other systems have, like the digestive systems have, or any other system has. So the passage of respiration starts from your nose, the nostril, the nasal passage, then your pharynx, your larynx. Okay, and after the larynx, you have your trachea, your bronchi, your bronchioles, and your alveoli. Okay, so nostrils is the first part through which we inhale the air, and nostril has hair and mucus in it, right? And what does the hair and mucus in the nostril do? It basically warms up the air that we are inhaling and also traps the dust and the germs which are there in the air, so that we inhale pure air, right? A little purified air goes inside our lungs. Okay, so that is the function of hair and mucus in the nostril. After that, we have the nasal passage through which the air passes. Then the air comes into pharynx. Now, pharynx is the common passage of food and air. I hope you know this. Pharynx is the common passage of food and air. Then after the pharynx, the air moves into the larynx, and larynx is the voice box. You must be knowing that there are different muscles which produce voice, which is a different concept. But larynx is also known as the voice box, in which your air moves. And after the this thing, larynx, the air moves into the trachea. Trachea is the whole windpipe. In simple language, we call it windpipe. The trachea is the windpipe which is there in the chest region, and this windpipe basically has half, you can say half ring shaped, or you can say C shaped cartilaginous rings are there, which basically does not allow your trachea to collapse in the absence of air. Okay, so the trachea, it takes the air to the lungs, and it has C-shaped rings which does not allow the trachea to collapse in the absence of air. So the function of C-shaped ring is basically asked. Okay, so I hope you will be able to write that they do not allow the trachea to collapse in the absence of air, because trachea is made up of very soft and delicate tissue. So by chance, if there is absence of air or less amount of air, then it tends to stick together, it tends to collapse, which is prevented by the C-shaped ring. After that, after the trachea is this branch which breaks into two branches that are the bronchi. Just a second. If you have this kind of trachea, and then it breaks into two branches like this, I'm just making a rough thing. Okay, it breaks into two branches like this. So now this one was your trachea, these are your bronchi. Okay, these are your bronchi. And now these bronchi also further splits. These further splits into fine branches like these inside your lungs. And these fine branches are basically your bronchioles. They are your bronchioles. They are your bronchioles, and these are your bronchi. Okay, so basically it's just like a tree. You have main trunk, and then you have the branches splitting out. Same ways, this is your trachea. This is your trachea. It splits into two. That is your it splits into two. That is your bronchi, and these bronchi splits further into bronchioles. Okay, and these bronchioles have these kind of structure. These bronchioles have these kind of structure, small, very small balloon-like structure which just opens and just closes. So these small structures are your alveoli. These are your alveoli. These are your alveoli. Okay. So this is your passage of the airway passage, just how the air moves inside your body. So the first one is nostril, then it is pharynx, then it is larynx, then comes your trachea, this trachea, and then these two branches, which is your bronchi, then your bronchioles, then your alveoli. Okay, so this is the passage. Now, before moving to the further function of these things, one thing more, that your lungs are basically covered with a membrane, like your heart is protected by a membrane. Okay, same ways your lungs are also covered and protected by a membrane, and that covering is known as pleural membrane. Okay, that covering is known as pleural membrane. And inside the pleural membrane, there is a fluid filled. That fluid is known as pleural fluid. Now, basically, this fluid protects your lungs from jerks and shocks. Okay, and also avoid the friction between the muscles. Okay, so this is the function of pleural fluid, which is present between the lungs and the pleural membrane. Okay.
Ma'am, can you spell that?
Yeah, sure. I'll just write it on the screen. Pleural membrane.
Okay.
Okay. And same goes pleural fluid also. Inside the membrane, there is a fluid which protect from jerks and shocks. Okay. Also, one thing more, your left lung is comparatively smaller than your right lung. I hope you must be knowing this. Okay. And why is it so?
To make space for your heart.
Yeah, to accommodate your heart. Very good. So left lung is smaller so as to accommodate your heart. Although your heart is not towards the left, it is centrally located. It is just tilted towards left. Okay. To accommodate that space, the left lung is a little smaller. Okay. So this is about the lungs and the pleural membrane and fluid. After that, about the trachea, I have told you that the C-shaped cartilage rings are there, which does not allow the trachea to collapse. Then your bronchi and bronchioles are basically the branching, which takes your air further into the alveoli. Now, alveoli are sac-like structure. Alveoli are very soft, just like a sponge-like structures. Okay, and they help in the exchange of gases. Okay, they help in the exchange of gases, or you can say diffusion of gases. Now, these alveoli are basically covered with blood capillaries. The alveoli, suppose this is the alveoli will be covered with the blood capillaries. Lot of blood capillaries will be surrounding the alveoli. And alveoli is so soft and also covered with the blood capillaries that the oxygen that gets into the alveoli diffuses into the blood capillaries and then moves along the blood to your different target organs. Okay, and the carbon dioxide enters the alveoli, which is ultimately exhaled out. So this exchange of gases is basically done in the alveoli. So one question in that kind of name the following type of questions come, that the site of diffusion of gases or the site of exchange of gases in your body, that is alveoli. Okay, so you remember that. Is it clear? Any problem till here? Okay. Also, this is about the human body, but different organisms breathe differently depending upon the habitat they are living in, right? So if they are aquatic animals, they will be breathing through the gills and all. If they are amphibians, they breathe through your skin, through your gills, as well as through the lungs. So depending upon the habitat of an organism, different organisms breathe differently, right?
Ma'am, can I use the washroom?
Yeah, sure. Okay, after that, should we wait for her? I don't know. Are we supposed to wait or shall I continue? Whatever you people say. Okay, fine. We'll wait for her. If you want to ask anything or if you are not understanding anything, please be free and you can ask. Also, there is an organ which basically covers your windpipe when you are swallowing the food. What is it?
Lotus.
Yeah, epiglottis. Yeah, correct. Okay, so after the passage of air, the track of air, the movement of air that we have discussed, after that we have the mechanism of breathing. Okay, so in the mechanism of breathing, we have inhalation and exhalation. So when you exhale the air, that means the air is moving out of your body. Your ribs basically contract and they move inwards, and your diaphragm becomes like a dome shape. Okay, the diaphragm becomes, it rises, it becomes a dome shaped, and your ribs, they contract. So that happens because we are exhaling, and when we are exhaling, the pressure inside is decreasing. Okay, so when the pressure inside is decreasing, the ribs will contract and the diaphragm will rise up. Diaphragm is a muscle which is present below your rib cage, and it just assist or help in your breathing movement. Okay, so diaphragm basically help in the breathing movement. Okay, so this you have to remember, that when we exhale, the pressure inside becomes less or it decreases, and the air, I mean the ribs, they contract and the diaphragm becomes dome shaped. But when we inhale, we are inhaling the pressure inside increases, and when the pressure inside the lungs increases, the rib cage also move outward. That means the rib cage expand and your diaphragm becomes flat. Okay, so this is the movement of inhalation and exhalation. So you can note it down somewhere if you want to, because this is something that you have to remember. Okay, that what happens during exhalation and what happens during inhalation. Also, there comes a reasoning that when you move at high altitude, the breathing rate, What do you think? It decreases or it increases?
Increases.
Breathing rate increases. Why?
Lower amount of oxygen there. So at
So,
high altitudes.
yeah, at high altitudes. Lower amount of oxygen is there, so the breathing rate will increase or decrease.
Increase because you need air faster.
Yeah, correct. The breathing rate increases, but the amount of oxygen that reaches our blood is still less. Okay. And also, one thing more, uh, when we were talking about alveoli, we were talking about that the alveoli is all wrapped and covered with capillaries, which therefore over there the exchange of gases takes place. Okay. And when the exchange of gases takes place, when the oxygen moves into the blood, it is carried to different organs and the tissues wherever it is required. What is the pigment in the blood that carries oxygen? There is an oxygen carrier in the blood. Have you heard about hemoglobin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hemoglobin is the oxygen carrier. Okay. If by any chance any human body or any individual has less amount of hemoglobin in the body, then ultimately he or she will have breathing problems, because oxygen will not be delivered to different cells and tissues that easily. If your hemoglobin is low, then the oxygen will not be carried so properly. Okay. So oxygen is the your sorry, hemoglobin is your oxygen carrier. That also you have to remember. One more thing that comes in the exam is the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide comparison. Carbon monoxide is basically poisonous to your body because it bonds with the hemoglobin, and that bond is like not convertible, or you can say it is a non-breakable bond. It makes a permanent bond with hemoglobin, and it does not separate, and then it is delivered to your tissue and causes poisonous effect and leads to death. Okay. So hemoglobin forms a more stronger bond with carbon monoxide as compared to carbon dioxide. This you have to remember. That is why carbon monoxide is poisonous to the body while carbon dioxide is not. Okay. Because carbon monoxide and hemoglobin bond, that does not break. That is why it not delivered to the tissue, and like the bond does not break. It is a permanent bond. Okay. Anything else that is there in your like chapter, and I have not taken maybe the equations and all? Just a second. Am I audible?
Ma'am, respiration and plants, I think. Oh, she left.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think there was some internet issue. Okay, so I'll be. I was asking, is there something else in your book that I have not taken or left by chance? Like, so
Yeah,
you can
ma'am.
just tell me.
Respiration in plants. I don't think you covered. That's the only part.
Rest. Okay, respiration in plants. Okay. One thing more that I missed was when the respiration takes place, half of the process takes place in the cytoplasm and half of the hello. Am I audible, children?
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is breaking a little bit.
It is breaking. I think there is internet issue. Okay, I was telling you, uh, I was telling you that when we talk about respiration, the okay, so when we talk about respiration, half of the process of respiration takes place in the cytoplasm, and half of the process of respiration takes place in the mitochondria. So your glucose, it breaks into, your glucose breaks into pyruvate. Your glucose breaks into pyruvate in your cytoplasm. Okay, this, your glucose is basically a 6-carbon compound, right? It is a 6-carbon compound, and your pyruvate is a 3-carbon compound. Pyruvate or pyruvic acid is a 3-carbon compound. So this takes place in cytoplasm, while the further process of this respiration, that means from pyruvate, the carbon dioxide, energy, and ATP will be synthesized in the mitochondria. Okay, and the matrix of the mitochondria have the respiratory enzyme, not the fold and the cristae of mitochondria. The matrix of the mitochondria has the respiratory enzyme. Okay, so from pyruvate,
Ma'am, can you please repeat like what happens inside mitochondria?
yeah, from glucose to pyruvate, this much process will take place in the cytoplasm, and from pyruvate to your carbon dioxide, energy, and water molecule, that process will take place in the mitochondria. But the mitochondria has the folds and the cristae also, but the uh, enzymes of this mitochondria are there in the matrix of mitochondria and not in the cristae. Okay, so that you have to remember. Basic matrix of mitochondria has the respiratory enzymes, not the cristae. This objective kind of questions come. I'll just write
Ma'am,
it.
cristae is the folds or the outside part?
Cristae are the folds that
Okay.
are there. Yeah.
So it doesn't happen in the folds.
No, it doesn't happen in the fold. It happens in the matrix, in the ground matrix.
Okay.
Okay. So, just a second. So pyruvate will form your carbon dioxide plus water plus your ATP. So this process, conversion from pyruvate to carbon dioxide, water and ATP, this process happens in your mitochondria.
Ma'am, and 3 carbon dioxide is produced.
Sorry?
3 carbon dioxide is produced, right?
Yeah. I'm not writing the balancing part. I'm just telling
Okay.
you. Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
just telling you that what products are formed. Okay. ATP, full form, every one of you must be knowing, adenosine triphosphate. Okay, adenosine triphosphate. This is your ATP, adenosine triphosphate. These full forms, it comes. Now, when ATP is formed, ATP goes into your body, basically in your muscle cells, and it splits. It splits into the ATP splits into ADP plus inorganic phosphate. We write it as P1 because one molecule of phosphate separates from the triphosphate. See, ATP, you are saying it is triphosphate.
Ma'am, so
Triphosphate,
ATP is also broken down.
yeah. ATP is broken down, that is, and this phosphate, this one inorganic
So it becomes
phosphate,
diphosphate plus
yeah,
one other phosphate.
yes. Now
Okay.
this phosphate is used up by your muscle cells and it gives you energy. Okay, and this ADP is again reconverted into ATP and stored in your wherever it is stored, like mitochondria or liver or wherever.
How is it reconverted into ATP?
It is reconverted through the process of respiration only. When
Okay.
this glucose breaks into pyruvate and this process takes place, this ADP meets one more phosphate and makes ATP, and it is stored in the mitochondria. And whenever you required energy, when any cell of your body or tissue of your body require energy, that ATP moves and split into ADP and phosphate. So this is how the process in the body takes place. We can also take this in detail with all the equations and all. If like it is there in your course, I am not very sure. Okay, the other thing, this is all about aerobic respiration that we are discussing. Okay, aerobic respiration, that means all those things will take place in the presence of oxygen. Now if we talk about anaerobic respiration, so in anaerobic respiration, mitochondria and cytoplasm will play the same role. In anaerobic respiration also, the glucose will break into pyruvate, and then from pyruvate it becomes different. That is, I'll write here what happened in pyruvate. From here starts to break down into ethanol, C2H5OH, ethanol plus 2 ATP. Right? Ethanol and 2 ATP is formed in plants. It is formed in plants.
Ma'am, plants and bacteria.
Yeah, plants and bacteria. While in your yeast, plants and bacteria and yeast also, ethanol is formed in yeast. Like in fermentation, suppose you are making idli dosa at home, what happens in that? There is natural fermentation that is taking place, and when you have seen the batter of idli and dosa rising, that is because of the production of carbon dioxide and ethanol.
Ma'am, can you
It
define
turns,
fermentation?
sorry?
Can you define fermentation?
Fermentation is basically the production of ethanol as well as carbon dioxide in the presence of anaerobic respiration.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also one thing, when you open a bottle of some champagne or some wine or anything, there is a buzz that comes out. So that is basically, or you there is a buzz that comes out, that is basically the carbon dioxide. Or you leave that, you think like this, you are baking a cake, which is very practical, which everyone do at their home. So you are baking a cake and the cake rises. Okay, so it rises because of production of this only, like carbon dioxide and ethanol. And can you see small pores in that cake? That pores is because of the release of carbon dioxide. Okay, in the bread also, the pores you see is because of the release of carbon dioxide. In your idli and dosa also, you see the pores, that is also release of carbon dioxide. So whenever there is fermentation, small pores or bubbles are there because of the carbon dioxide, and the sour taste is because of the ethyl alcohol which is produced. Also, I was telling you, yeah, what happens in muscle cell? In muscle cell, this pyruvate it gets converted into lactic acid.
Ma'am, what's the formula for lactic acid?
The formula of lactic acid is CH3 C C CH2H C2OH. This is the formula. The H is
CH3COOH. Okay.
This is lactic acid. Okay, plus 2 ATP. So this happens in your muscle cells.
Again 2 ATP.
Yeah.
Same as
In the
absence
same,
of
because
oxygen.
whenever it is absence of oxygen, 2 ATP will be produced.
Only in presence is 38.
Yeah, only in the presence it is 38. And also one thing more, when it is the presence of oxygen, your 36 ATPs are produced in the mitochondria and 2 ATPs are produced in the cytoplasm. That is not there in definitely 10th class, but it is there in 11, 12, that 2 ATPs are produced in the cytoplasm and 36 are produced in the mitochondria. In total, 38 ATPs are produced in the presence of oxygen.
Okay.
But whenever there is absence of oxygen, no oxygen is there, then always 2 ATP will be produced, be it plants or be it your muscle cells. Only in plants, bacteria and yeast, it is alkyl alcohol which is there, while in the muscle cells, it is your lactic acid which is there. That is the difference. I hope everyone is understanding. Am I too fast? Shanvi, am I too fast?
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. And others, Pranjal is to gone only. He's not there. I can't see him. Tanishk is not speaking.
I'm there, ma'am.
Yeah, now I can see you. Tanishk doesn't speak.
No, it's not like that. Exactly.
Okay, so I'm just asking, are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because if there is any problem, please ask.
Yes.
Okay, so this is about the
Ma'am, what do you say about
yeah.
what do you say? Like animals produce lactic acid in muscles, and what do plants?
Plants produce ethyl alcohol.
Okay.
Animals, only in the muscle cells they produce lactic acid, and that too in a condition that when there is too much of physical activity they are doing. Okay, only in that condition. Otherwise, we undergo aerobic respiration only. Okay. So this is about the respiration and the number of carbons and all. Okay. What else? Is there something else in your books? Because I was not having the book, so I just took it like that. There might be some experiments related to plants, right?
No, there's one about fish.
Okay, only fish
Oh yeah, fish and the fermentation.
fermentation. Okay, so
Ma'am,
can you,
in
yeah,
yeast that when ethanol is produced, like after pyruvate is broken down,
yeah,
ma'am,
yeah,
even carbon dioxide is released.
yeah. Carbon dioxide will be produced. Carbon dioxide
It
will be
won't,
produced.
but carbon dioxide is not produced with lactic acid.
Yeah, carbon dioxide is not produced in lactic acid. Yeah, in
Lactic acid is
plants,
3 carbon, right? You
yeah.
can't produce another carbon out of nowhere.
Hmm. And in a pyruvate, sorry, when it comes to plant, the carbon dioxide is produced. That is why the plant is like exhaling carbon dioxide. Now, from where they are getting the, okay, one, just it is not related to your respiration chapter, but just like that, I want to ask you, a few people know that what do you think, that the plant respire only during the day or only during the night or like all the time?
All the time, right?
All the
Why?
time.
Why? Everyone agrees with the Tahir that all the time, or someone
Yeah.
has a different opinion?
Ma'am, they do, but when they're going through photosynthesis, they absorb the CO2 produced.
Okay. So photosynthesis happens only during,
No, no, no. It happens all the time.
no, photosynthesis happens all the time.
No, no, no.
No,
Respiration
photosynthesis
happens all the
happens
time.
only in day.
Only during photosynthesis they absorb the CO2 that they produce.
Yeah, true. Okay. So this questions also comes in the reasoning that photosynthesis will only takes place when there is sunlight, right? If there is sunlight, then only photosynthesis will take place. But since plants are living, so respiration takes place all the time. You cannot say that plant do not respire at night. They do respire at night, at day, all the time, 24 into 7 they respire. But during the day they also absorb the carbon dioxide, right? Like he said. Okay, from what are the organs from where the plants respire? What are the
Stomata.
stomata? What else?
Only stomata, right?
Only stomata? I don't think so.
Yeah.
More are there. Two more. But I have to heard that stomata closes at night. So if the stomata closes at night, then how does the plant respire? If it is respiring only through stomata, Tahir, the question goes to you because you
Uh,
said it respires through
yeah,
stomata.
I don't know what else it uses.
No, the stomata is the correct answer, that they respire through stomata. But
At
like,
night, yeah, they close, so I don't know what other way they respire.
okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. So, see, plants respire through stomata. That is true. We just use this term that the stomata closes at night. Stomata never closes. It never closes. It just narrowed down the cavity. Suppose in the daytime, the stomata is like this. It has this big cavity. Okay. So during the night, the cavity becomes this, but it never shuts like this, because if the stomata shuts like this, then the plant will die. Okay, so this term closed just means narrowing down of cavity. Okay, and students they just get confused that close means to shut down an absolute closure. No, it just means to narrow down the cavity. Okay, and the other organs through which the plants respire are lenticels, which are present on the bark of the tree. Lenticels. You must have
Bark
seen
of?
also bark of the tree.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, that eye like thing which are there on the bark of the tree, those are the lenticels. So they respire through lenticels. Majorly they respire through stomata, but they also respire through lenticels. The plant which are living in the water, they are respiring through pneumatophores. Okay, and some of the pneumatophores are different structures altogether. Okay, so whenever if there is a topic, I'll take that up. Okay, also some of the plants just respire through normal diffusion through the root surface. Roots are embedded in the soil, so root surface, the root hair are so minute and thin, they have so thin wall that the surface of the root also do the exchange of gases. So lenticels, stomata, pneumatophores, and the root surfaces, these are the parts through which the plants respire. Okay, anything else that we can, this is related to respiration, but then I don't know it is there in your topic.
You spell lenticels?
Lenticels, yes. Should I write the spelling?
Ma'am, you can just send it in chat.
Okay. Lenticels. Lenticels are present on the bark of the tree. Anything that is left other than the experiment of the fish and the one more fermentation?
No, ma'am, nothing.
All is covered. Anything you want to ask? Anyone? I think sir will take up from here.
Ma'am, don't we have like a test on what you taught right now?
Yeah, sir is
It's
saying
on
there
6
is a
o'clock.
test. Yeah, I think sir will be giving you a test.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have the test online only, like in the class like this only you give the test.
I think, ma'am.
Okay.
Also, ma'am, I don't think so you spoke about how the food breaks down in the absence of oxygen and yeast.
I told that in the absence of oxygen and yeast, it is similar to plant. Glucose will break down into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and 2 ATP. Okay. Plants, yeast, and bacteria. That's the same process.
Ma'am, energy is also produced, no?
Yeah, 2 ATPs are produced. Okay. I have told you one, like I told you one, what to say, one glucose molecule produce 38 ATP. This I told you, right? Can you tell me how many, like one mole of ATP will produce how much of energy?
30.5.
Uh, 35,
30.5
30.5.
joules, I
Okay.
think, or kilojoules, one of that.
And if you want to say it in calories,
I have no idea.
okay. So in calories, basically in kilocalories, one molecule of glucose produces 686 kilocalories. So you can note it down somewhere if you want. 686 kilocalories. And in joules, it is 30.5.
How much? How many kilocalories?
686 kilocalories. One molecule of glucose. Not
Ma'am,
one
one
mole, one molecule.
of glucose in aerobic, so 38 ATP.
Yeah. Number of ATP is 38, but in kilocalories, it is
686.
686.
Okay.
Ma'am, how much in joules?
30.5
Actually, it's kilojoules, not just joules.
kilojoules. Yes, kilojoules, not joules. One molecule of ATP.
Hi, ma'am. Is the class over?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's over.
Okay. Kids, click on the link. There is a link in the Zoom chat. Clicked and join the classroom.
So respiration homework or not?
That is homework. Right now you have to do. There is a thing called nutrition test. Okay. Can you see it, everyone? Give me a thumbs up if you can see it.
So the 15 questions.
Yeah. Nutrition test. Okay, fine. Okay, and yeah, I mean, if you have something to ask to ma'am, you ask right now. Okay, if you have last doubt something else. No. Okay. How are the kids?
Good, sir. They were all very good.
Okay. Fine. So you, ma'am, you can leave if you want.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, do we like write it in a piece of paper and then send you a photo?
Yeah, you send me the options. Okay.
All right.
Fine. Everyone, yeah, start.
So how much time do we have for it? Muted. Okay.